It's time for more floor work. Got everything finished off. All I got left to do now is put some holes in them so they can be spot welded in place. And they'll be finished. And what I got to do next now is I got to build all this back section here before I put this in, because all this got to be welded to all that back there. So what I need to do here now is I got to make a piece that will go across here and down across here that will go in behind the floor pan that I just took out. And I got to have a spot there for the drive shaft loop as well. And on the outer edge here, I'm just going to come in flat and then go down this way. So I got to make up two little pieces that'll go over this way here and tuck in underneath the roll cage over here in this corner, and then go down and the floor can be spot welded to that. So I'm going to go ahead and make these pieces. They're just 90-degree bends. I'll make one for there and one for over there, and we'll get them made. So I got two of them made up and ready to go in. There's nothing fancy about them, it's just an angle bent, and I just cut them to fit everything around everything. You see where I cut them to fit back here in the corner and around the roll cage and down the side, but it goes right out to the rocker, right? So now the floor pan will lay up against that there. Now what I got to do now is I got to cut out a piece now to go here. So I got a piece cut out here. I got it cut out and I got it sewed. There's an upper lip on it, and there's also enough material on the ends to fold it in over on the frame rail. And what I got done here now is I found the center of it, because it's too wide and it's too high. I found the center of it right here. Now I got to drop this down around the frame rail so my frame rails stick up into the center section here. What I did is I found the center and I found out the distance between the frame rails. And what I did then is I cut that in half, measured out, made sure that it was centered into it, and then I marked it out. Okay, this has to come across here and then go down this way here and come across here. Over here in the middle, it doesn't matter because the way the floor steps up here, but the floor drops down here, so I got to drop down here. So I got to cut the center out of it, and that's what I got marked out there. So I'm going to get the center cut out of it now and see how it fits. So now you can see how it fits down around the frame rail there and goes along the side there. And I turn around and I fit this panel in over here, and you can see the way that's going to fit in along there. What I did then is I went up on the back side here and I marked it on this side here and this side here from the frame rail on both sides. So that way I got my two corners marked so I know where my bend's got to go. You can see where I marked the corners, okay? This top side here has the tip back and this here has to be bent on a 90 like this here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run lines down here, run straight through there and straight through there, and I'm going to cut this corner off it this way on an angle like this. And the same with this side here. And that way I can bend this here, and I can bend this here. I'll bend this one first. I'll use the brake in this one here, and then I'll have to use the I-beam to bend this one here because it's so short, and I already got one bend on, right? So let's get them drawn up. So I got them marked out. Then what I did up here is with the corners crossed over, I turn around and I got them marked back about about a quarter of an inch on either side, tapered back, because I've always finds that the edges are always interfering with your rollback. So I just want to cut them off, and usually you just cut them on a diagonal, but it's too much for me. I like to leave a bit there, so I'm just going to do it this way. And if I got to trim more, I'll trim it after. But I know for a fact that just cutting it straight off here and cutting it straight off here when I fold it over, it's going to be an interference there. So I'm going to start here and then trim the fit. As for this panel, putting a bead ring in it, there really is no need. I got to cut the center out of this here and put a center section in here. And then the floor pan is going to run sort of along here as well. So there's just a little tiny area here. I really have no, the frame rail runs up through, I think about right here somewhere. No, right here, frame rail runs up there, right? So, and then of course, then you got to step over this here and whatever. Now there's, I'll be trimming a bit of this off on the bottom side when it's all said and done. So I'm going to go ahead now, get them cut out, corners cut out, right? Another little thing that I done, if you see it better on this side here, is the little corners here I have cut a little notch out of both sides here, just so that it gives a bit of room on the corner. So that I find that when you start bending tight on a corner here, this here has a tendency to kink. So when you cut a little notch in, it kind of relieves that section here, so it gives it room for both of these to bend, right? So let's get this bent up now. quick test fit, and it worked out pretty good. So I'm over here now, I gotta bend up these ones here. I got my I-beam taken out. A piece of angle iron. Got pairs of vice grips. Line all this up now and bend this up. $1 for a piece of metal I bet like this. Now I'll just repeat the same process on the other side. I'll dolly it up a bit with the hammer dolly. And then I'll go test for it. As you can see, it's a nice snug fit. Now that I got that in there fitting and they're good, what I got to do now is I got to cut out a piece for this here, there in the middle of that. I'll move this forward here and drop down the rail and mark my two sides. Shh, don't tell anybody. I'm going to make a template for that out of cardboard. Shh, don't tell nobody. So I've done a quick test fit to see how it fit in the car itself. with it all cut out. Then I turn around and measured from here to here, make sure everything was the same height, right? And what I got to do now is I got to put a lip on this here, because I want to be able to put the tunnel in. When I put the tunnel in, I can spot weld it around here. So I want something for the tunnel to rest on. So I'm going to take it out again now, and I'm going to go get some scrap steel now, and I'm going to lay a flange in around there, and then weld it on there, probably about 1 inch wide all the way around, and then grind it and dress it all up, and then that panel will be ready to install. I took my little template, went over and laid in. What I need to find was this length here. I had to find out how long that was there. So I went over and made this template here. Then I went and made a little steel one to test fit it, just from old scrap. Just something so I can have to do reference to back and forth to. Then I took my seamstress tape and measured around that there. And it come to be about 13 inches. So I said it'd be nice to have a piece about 13.5 inches, just give a bit of leeway. And I went through my junk pile. And I found this, and I measured it up, and it was 13.5 inches. So I'm going to curve this now so that it goes in here. And what I'm going to do, not be concerned about having it perfect, because I only want it about 1 inch wide. And I'm going to set that up there now so that I can put that in there, and I can tack weld that on. I'll grind, clean this up here, and I'll clean this up here, and have this so I can weld that on there on the inside and on the outside. I want this to fit inside the floor pan to butt up against it, and then the panel go up over it like so. Or the transmission tunnel itself, the drive shaft tunnel. There you go, eventually get it right. So I'll get this all cleaned up and get this bent up. I'm just going to go over on the pipe anvil and bend it around the pipe anvil and shape it to that there. So you saw me there, I went over in the pipe anvil and just roughly bent this up so I got a curvature on the top and it was even going down both sides, so I basically had the same length on both ends. I come back over here then, I went and clamped a piece of angle iron. The problem I got is I got a flange here. I couldn't use my I-beam and this was the outside edge I needed. So I went through my pile of angle iron and I found a piece that just fit inside of it, inside these lips here on both sides. And I just laid this on top of it, clamped it, because I want to keep this straight this way here. So I knew if I had to clamp to something, because I think if I just laid it down flat, with these edges, the center is going to fall, okay? So I had to figure out some way to keep the center up. Then I just started from the middle, and I didn't worry about this fitting the sides. I just made sure I kept it flat, and I just started working my way around, bending as I was going, okay? That way I can get the shape that I was after, instead of trying to worry about bending this up to get it fitting perfect the first time. Just start in the middle, make sure you got enough left over on the bottom, and you just start working your way around the side, fitting it every inch or so, and working around, and go around, do the same thing again. That's basically it. So I'm going to go ahead now, I'm going to get all this welded up on the outside, get it all grinded up. Just going to use a stone in here just to round it off a bit, and then I'm going to cut off about an inch of that. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. And there you have it. I turned around and I got it welded on the outside. I welded it on the inside. I grinded it off on the inside, flat this way, flat this way. I grinded flat that way, grinded flat that way, and then I rounded out the edge of it, so I got a nice dressed area. Then I took this stone, that's all I did here, and just grinded out the corner. It could be, you can go back and be crazy with it. I got a seam seal this area when I put the panel on it anyway, so I'm not too much concerned about it. It looks good from right here, it looks mint, look. That's all that matters to me. And I went ahead then, I cut this off, trimmed it up, got it to the length, size that I wanted it. Then I went ahead and I stripped all the sections off where I'm going to put the floor pans to it. I then went and where I'm going to be plug welding it. I put some plug welds in it. Holes. So that panel is now done. This panel is now ready to install. This is the first piece that'll have to go in. I still have to work with these, but I got some trimming to do on this outside edge, and I don't know how I'm going to do it yet because it just lays flat, and I don't think I'm just going to have this come up here. I might try to make some sort of pattern out of it so it looks presentable looking underneath the bottom of the car. I got to put a few holes across here. This is only going to be welded on up through here and through here. And then the floor pan's going to weld on here and up here, okay? The floor pans themselves, I'm going to get them prepped now. Get all the holes poked in them. Get them ready. Got to mark them out to where around the frame rails so I can actually plug weld to the frame rail down here. And also to the straps. In between the straps I'm going to put a couple of plug welds as well. And then the back side I'm going to put holes in it so that I can actually plug weld the back side. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this stuff prepped and ready so we can start installing everything. One last thing I got to do before I start prepping everything is this panel here. I got that put in, I just cut it off randomly. I got this put in place here now, and I done a marker and marked it where it's all going to go. This is in the position where that's going to go, and that's in the position where that's going to go. I'm going to take this out now, clamp it together, and I'll show you something I got to do to it. So I got it up laid on the bench here now, and I clamped that on the line itself. Here's something I want to do. I could have done this after the fact, but I think I'm not crawling up underneath this car to fix it. When you flip this upside down, I got metal hanging down. Now this is the front of the car, and any like water, rain, wind, and everything's going to come this way here, and that's going to be hanging down underneath the bottom of the car. I'm going to mark that now and trim that up so it's up behind this panel here, so that when it's welded on, you won't see no lip or nothing like that. It'll be just this flat panel here, so any water or anything that comes across the bottom of the car, it'll just go off the end and drip. It won't be able to hook into anything like this here. Same with this section here. I'll trim all that up there now and get that out there. I'll do the same with the other side as well. And then that panel is ready to put in. So I went ahead and I got all these popped out. Then I went in and I marked where I was going to put in a few plug welds down to the frame here. Over here the chassis rail passes through here. and so I had to drill that out there as well. So I got all the plug welds now, all the way around, even on the back side here, where they're going to be all welded in when it all comes time. One thing I've done with this floor pan is I put a spot in the back to put 2 drain holes, okay? So I went through my collection of stuff, and I found a bunch of these plugs here. I have a bunch of old plug stuff around, and it's marked right on them, if I get them in the light. 7/8 of an inch. That's the size of the hole. I double checked it, I measured it, okay? Then I went over to my step bit and looked at my step bit, and the very last one is 7/8 of an inch. So I just got to run that one right on through it, and then plugs will fit right in there. So I'm going to put one there, and then one in the same place on the other floor pan. So I'll get them drilled out now. There you have them. One in place there. Put another one right here. Sand, it'll fall a little small bit. It goes in there tight, I want it that way. Yeah, see? That's a factory floor pan turbine. Look at that. That's wicked. I'll go get the other one done now, and we're ready to install these too. Look, factory floor pan sections for a V8 hand-built chassis, turbo, LS powered Toyota Corolla. Anyway, I got them all made up. They're ready to go in, and I got to put them in piece of that one there got to go in first. Then 2 of them got to go in. I got to do some modifications to them to make them fit nice, make them look nice in the car. And then I can put 2 of these in. I got to grind the frame rails and the seat mounts where they're going to go. But I'll do them when I go to put each individual one in. So let's get started now and start installing all this with that one in first. I gone ahead and test fit the panel. And then I marked where all the plug welds are going. And I just grinded off the spots where the plug welds are going. I'm not going to remove nothing more than that. I've done it to both sides. So that's ready to go in now. So I'll start fitting that in, clamp that in, and get that welded in there. Now that I got that installed, these are my next pieces. I got to go over now, test fit these, trim them up, grind them up, put some plug welds in them, get them all fitted up. I went cut this on an angle here, because I like that there better. I didn't want to cut it out of it all together because the panel comes up this way here and goes across and flat on top of this one here. If you look at the panel, where's this one here? That goes like so, okay? That's the way that goes, and the way I got it set up on the bottom side, I got it set up so there's like this here, a little brace on it. Because that's where the bottom, the floor pan ends, and then it just goes, it comes straight up here. This section right here comes straight up. And I got one plug that'll go in here, and then there's plug welds across here. So I'm gonna go ahead now and get these all trimmed up and set up, and get ready to install them. about videotaping this type of work. The noise, the compressor, the heaters, the flange, and the welder. Hear all this noise, the background noise now. I want to do a video. I have to shut the compressor off. Unplug the welder because I got a fan that keeps going. I unplug the new unit. And I turn off my heaters. No noise. It's a lot of work making videos. Oh my. So I got that installed. I had to trim off the bottom here. I marked it, I trimmed it off so it's the same height as that one there. I put a solid weld up across here and then through this edge here, and then I grinded it all flush because this way I had to join that onto that there. There was nothing there to support that. And then I just come in across the back here. I've pre-drilled spot welds or plug weld holes in the panels. Then I come over and I mark the top of the rail, and then I grind it off top of the rail, and then I welded it on, and then I grinded it off. That there piece there, installing it, already made, just coming over and putting it in place, doing all the work and grinding it, was about a 10-minute job. Okay? So that'll give you an idea of how long it takes to do some things. It took me about 5 minutes to set it up, to put it in there, weld it in there, and it was another 3 or 4 minutes for sure, doing a bit of grinding and dressing. I'm going to go on now, get the floor pan installed, and get the process, everything marked out, grind up, and get that welded in. And there you have it. I got that floor pan section finished. All prepped and grinded up. I'm just going to go finish the other side now. And there you go. Floor pan number 2. Much the same as the other side. I bolted it in place, marked all the holes and whatever, and bolted it down and welded it in. Same thing as the other side, and grinded all up and dressed. It's probably going to have to need all this here feather edged out a bit later on. I'm not worried about it right now. You can see the drain plugs in the back there. Another side the same way. Got that panel there now. I made that up in this one and made the drive shaft tunnel loop for it. So that's going to be the same as this one up here. And I made the 2 little extensions in the back side. Now all that's ready that I can go on and do the back section. But that's as far as I'm going here. What I need to do now is I need to finish off the front section of the car first. So that'll be coming up. I got to make a tunnel here and make the transmission hump itself. But that's basically it. You can see the way it all mounts on the back side there. They got the nice transition going from each panel all the way around. The overlap, the way it's all done. And I got it set up there so it actually goes up and welds onto the drive shaft loop. And it welds onto the back side corner there. And I got the transition going up over the top. And coming down, you can see the way the back is all welded on. The rear panel, the little box made for the back side, how it wraps around the roll cage, how it comes up this side here, and transitions across the front. Then I got the 4 holes for the seat mounts, as well as 2 holes for plugs in the back section. And that's basically it for that. So as you can see, I'm moving right along with the floor pans in this. All the front section's done. The rear section underneath the seats now are all done, and she's all ready to start moving towards the back of the car. Everything around the sides are done. All the firewall sections are done. She's coming together nicely. I'm very pleased with that there now. It was a bit tricky trying to figure all this out, trying to get it so they can actually drop it down for the actual seat mounts. But I managed to get it all figured out. It's got lots of strength in it, the way it's all put together there. There's lots of room up the front for your legs and whatnot. So anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope the tips are good. And until next time.